Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely. Always excited to unpack some new insights.
Well, today we're tackling something you do literally every single day.
Let me guess. Breathing.
Haha, very funny.
Oh.
Even more common than that, we're talking conversations.
The glue that holds society together. I'm intrigued. Where are we starting?
Well, we're taking inspiration from this awesome podcast series I found called Everyday Conversations in Real Life.
Sounds promising. What's the angle?
It's all about those initial moments, introductions and the dreaded small talk, helping us navigate those with a little more confidence. And who knows, maybe even turn those small talks into something bigger.
I'm in. I think we've all had those moments where we just feel awkward trying to strike up a conversation. I know I have.
Yeah, totally. Me too.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about this series. It actually breaks these interactions down, like step by step, showing techniques and strategies to use. I don't know why I've never thought about it that way before.
It's like a hidden code we can crack to become master conversationalists.
Exactly. And the series starts right at the beginning with introductions. And honestly, this was a light bulb moment for me.
Really? What was it?
It's not just about saying, hi, I'm so-and-so, and then crickets.
Been there.
There are actual techniques to make introductions smoother and more natural.
Okay, spill the beans. What are these magical techniques?
Well, the podcast emphasizes the importance of adding context.
Context. How do you mean?
Instead of just saying your name, you add a little something extra, something relevant to the situation. Like, hi, I'm your name. I noticed you were also checking out that photography exhibit.
So you're not just a name, you're a person with shared interests right from the start. I like it.
Right. It immediately creates a conversational hook, like common ground. It
Uh,
feels less robotic and more like you actually want to connect.
that makes so much sense. I usually just blurt out my name and hope for the best, but adding a bit of context definitely makes it feel less like a forced interaction.
Totally. But I guess there's a balance, right?
If-
Too much context, and it might feel, I don't know, a bit forced.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to overdo it. I think the key, like with anything in conversations, is to be genuine. Read the room, see what feels natural.
Makes sense. So what are some other good ways to add context?
Well, the podcast suggests mentioning a shared interest if you know of one, or even something simple like, hi, I'm new to the group if you're in a social setting. It's about giving the other person a little something to work with, a jumping off point.
I can see how those little tweaks could make you feel so much more comfortable approaching someone new, like less pressure.
Totally. It's all about making those initial interactions less awkward, setting the stage for a real connection, even if it ends up being brief.
I remember this one networking event I went to a while back. Ugh. Thinking about it still makes me cringe.
What
I
happened?
basically went around like a robot, just blurting out my name and company. Zero finesse.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure I saw people running away from me.
Haha, we've all been there. Networking events can be a minefield. But seriously, that's exactly what these techniques can help us avoid.
Okay, so introductions are covered. But what about, actually starting a conversation with someone new? Does the podcast have tips for that too?
Oh, absolutely. It dives into that as well. One of the tips that stood out to me was about observing and commenting on your shared environment.
Shared environment, what do you mean?
Like simple things. You could say, this venue is beautiful. Have you been here before? Or if you're at an event, what brought you here today? Stuff like that.
Ah, so finding common ground through what's right in front of you? Clever.
Right. It's a really natural way to break the ice. I actually used this tip at a conference last week.
No way, what did you say?
Well, there was this really cool art installation in the lobby. I just commented on it to the person next to me, and bam! We ended up having a great conversation about art and creativity.
See, it works. And it feels so much less forced than just trying to come up with random conversation starters.
Exactly. It's about being observant and finding those little things that can spark a connection. And if there's nothing particularly remarkable about the environment, the podcast also suggests picking up on something the person is wearing or carrying.
Like what?
It could be a book, a unique piece of jewelry, a cool phone case, anything that seems like a potential conversation starter. But, and this is important, it's got to be done respectfully. You don't want to make anyone uncomfortable.
Definitely. It's all about reading the vibe and going with what feels natural and respectful.
Right.
It's just struck me, though, listening also plays a huge role here, right?
Absolutely. It's not just about what you say, but how you listen. The Everyday Conversations podcast emphasizes active listening as a key skill.
Active listening. So not just nodding and pretending you're paying attention.
Uh-huh, definitely not. It's about genuinely being interested in what the other person has to say, asking follow-up questions, engaging with their thoughts. It's amazing how many people don't actually listen when someone's talking.
I know, right? Sometimes I catch myself doing that.
Yeah.
So how do we become better active listeners?
Well, there's an episode in the podcast with a communication expert who has some fascinating insights on
Oh,
this.
I got to hear this. What do they say?
They said active listening isn't just about hearing the words, but about truly understanding the message behind them.
Deep.
Right. It's about paying attention to nonverbal cues like body language and tone of voice, and then responding in a way that shows you're fully present. It's about making the other person feel heard and validated.
That's powerful. I can see how that would lead to much deeper and more meaningful connections. It's like
Yeah.
you're showing them that you really care about what they have to say.
Exactly. And this applies to so many areas of life, not just personal conversations. Think about professional settings like networking events, meetings, even job interviews. Active listening can make all the difference.
So it's not just about making small talk. It's about building rapport and creating a positive impression. Like first impressions are everything, right?
Exactly. And they can lead to all sorts of opportunities.
By mastering these seemingly simple conversational skills, we can transform those potentially awkward moments into chances to connect with others. And who knows, those connections could lead to amazing new friendships, collaborations, even business deals.
Absolutely. The possibilities are endless when we learn how to communicate effectively.
So that brings us to a thought-provoking question for everyone listening. How might consciously using these conversational techniques open up new doors for you? What opportunities or relationships might you create by simply changing the way you approach those everyday interactions?
It's something to think about. We often underestimate the power of a simple conversation, but it really can change everything.
Well said. And on that note, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Until next time, happy connecting.
Happy connecting, everyone.